Today, we're diving deep into Denzel Washington's completely uncompromising philosophy on taking risks and entirely reframing how we look at failure. I absolutely love this topic. It forces us to confront the very things that terrify us most. And as the stark black and red theme of today's explainer suggests, this isn't about some soft, feel-good inspiration. No, it's about raw, undeniable truth. There is no passion to be found playing small, in settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living. That quote right there from Nelson Mandela, it perfectly sets the emotional stakes for everything we're about to talk about. Denzel anchors his whole philosophy on this one singular idea. Playing it safe is literally the fastest way to lose your passion. He argues that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you actually take risks. Nothing. When you settle for a life that is less than what you're truly capable of living, you're basically just suffocating your own potential.
Section 1. The illusion of falling back.
Let's challenge a piece of traditional advice that pretty much every single student, professional, and dreamer has heard. Society constantly tells us to make sure we have something to fall back on, right? Have a backup plan, build a safety net. But Denzel completely rejects this concept. He says, look, if I'm gonna fall, I definitely don't want to fall backwards onto anything. If you're gonna fall, you must fall forward. Why? Because at least that way you'll actually see what you're going to hit. You keep your eyes locked on the obstacle instead of blindly retreating into safety.
To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. Denzel talks about that classic IQ test with the 9 dots. You know the one. The only way to connect all of them with 5 lines without lifting your pencil is to physically draw outside the boundaries of the box. So, to get something you never had, you literally have to do something you've never done before. You have to break out of the box.
Section 2. The math of success.
Taking risks isn't just some romantic, philosophical idea. It's a mathematical necessity. Take Reggie Jackson, 2,600. That's how many times he struck out. 2,600. That is the absolute most in the entire history of baseball. But here's the crazy part. You don't hear about the strikeouts, do you? People only remember the home runs. He had to fall forward thousands of times just to hit the ones that actually counted.
Or look at Thomas Edison. 1,000. He had 1,000 completely failed experiments. Most people have no idea about that. And why is that? Because the 1001st experiment gave us the light bulb. Every single one of those failed experiments was literally a mandatory step closer to his ultimate success.
Failure is not a step backward, but rather a necessary and inevitable step closer to success. Those numbers prove a really hard truth. You are going to fail at some point. You will lose, you'll embarrass yourself, and honestly, you'll just flat out suck at something. There's no getting around it. Denzel says we have to embrace it because it's completely inevitable. Look, if you aren't failing, you aren't even trying.
Section 3. Ghosts of unfulfilled potential.
We just looked at the math, but now let's dig into the terrifying psychology of playing it safe. Picture the scenario Denzel paints. Imagine you're lying on your deathbed, and standing around your bed are ghosts. But these aren't just any ghosts. They are the ghosts of your unfulfilled potential. The deathbed ghosts, unacted ideas, and unused talents. They're standing there, angry, disappointed, and upset. And they look at you and say, "We came to you because you could have brought us to life. And now we have to go to the grave together." It is such a terrifying metaphor, but it completely shifts our perspective. And it leaves us with one of the most important questions you will ever ask yourself. When your time comes, how many ghosts will surround your bed?
Section 4. Finding direction through failure.
Let's explore how absolute failure is honestly often the best compass for finding your true path. Just look at Denzel's actual college path. It totally normalizes chaos. We always think successful people had this perfectly straight trajectory, right? Well, he started out pre-med, taking a course called cardiac morphogenesis, a class he openly admits he couldn't read, couldn't pronounce, and definitely couldn't pass. Then he bounces to pre-law, then journalism. With absolutely zero academic focus, he hit rock bottom at age 20 with a 1.8 GPA. And the university politely asked him to leave. His life was anything but a straight line.
But this brings to life that great old saying Denzel quotes, "If you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later, you're gonna get a haircut." Early in his acting career, he failed constantly. He auditioned for a Broadway musical at the Court Theater that he thought was totally perfect for him. The only problem? He couldn't sing, so he failed. But he didn't quit, and he didn't fall back. He walked out, prayed, and relentlessly prepared for the next one. And the amazing kicker to this 30-year loop? 3 decades later, he caught a massive break on Broadway starring in Fences at the exact same Court Theater where he bombed that singing audition all those years ago.
Section 5. Sharing your unique gifts. So what do you do once you harness the courage to fail, navigate all that chaos, and finally find your true calling? Well, Denzel makes a pointed call to action. The world needs you. From places of terrible poverty in South Africa to the Middle East, Japan, all the way back to Alabama, Tennessee, Louisiana, or even your own backyard in Philadelphia, the world desperately needs your help. They need your specific talents, your money, your patience, your kindness. Whatever your gift is, you've got to get out there and give it absolutely everything you have. Young boy, I have a spiritual prophecy. You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people. This profound moment from March 27, 1975 captures the whole journey perfectly. Denzel was at his absolute lowest point, right after getting kicked out of college. He's sitting in his mother's beauty shop in Mount Vernon, just staring into the mirror. And this older woman, a town elder, kept watching him from under a hairdryer. Finally, she takes it off and delivers that exact prophecy. At the time, the guy had a 1.8 GPA and absolutely zero direction. But in the years that followed, falling forward again and again, he did exactly that.
True risk is knowing what you know and what you don't know. Taking risks isn't just about chasing a fancy career or gunning for a promotion. It's about staying aggressively open. It's about knowing what you know, but more importantly, being humble enough to acknowledge what you don't. It's about the people you meet, the people you love, and having immense faith. That is the kind of stuff that will ultimately define you.
Knowing the math of success and the ghosts of inaction, will you have the guts to fall forward? As we wrap up this explainer and we lean into this stark, intense red and black truth one last time, I want to leave you with a final thought to take into your own life. You know the math now. You know failure is literally required. You can picture those terrifying ghosts of inaction just waiting at the end of the road. So the only question left to answer is this: will you have the guts to fail? Are you going to have the courage to never hold back, give it everything you've got? And when you inevitably fall, will you fall forward,